Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Ops Committee on this beautiful afternoon. I am Marita Davis Johnson, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Commissioner Stephen Bradshaw, and Robert, Presiding Officer Robert Patrick will not be in attendance today. So with that, Commissioner Bradshaw, have you had a chance to review the minutes for the June the 7th, 2022 County Operations Committee meeting?
Yes, ma'am. And this time I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Okay, I will second that. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. And so at our last meeting, on May the 17th, we deferred item 2022-1543, and that was the resolution of the DeKalb County Governing Authority to adopt a vision and transition plan for all library landscapes in DeKalb County by 2023. And so that is a previously heard item that is coming back before us today. I did ask, hold on a second. Okay, I did ask Ellison from the libraries and Kevin from facilities to, if they would come on and help with the discussions on that today. Is Commissioner, okay, I see it. I was getting ready to call you Commissioner. Commissioner Terry is on. So, Allison, I think that you've had a chance to see the agenda item, to read the resolution, and there's questions that I would have on the libraries. I think that Commissioner Ted Terry, and I won't speak for you, Ted, I'll let you speak on this item. And then I have questions, and that we'll just take the conversation from there. So do you want to speak on this, Commissioner Terry, and then we'll confer to Allison.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And yes, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everyone again. Good to see Director Weisinger here. So yes, I think, one of the underpinnings of a lot of the initiatives I've been working on in these first 2 years really comes back to sustainability, climate action, creating green jobs. And so the evolution, I think, of this discussion over kind of landscaping, and we've talked about sanitation and what we spend on sort of the money we spend on sort of cleaning up the roadways, sustainability at our facilities, the facilities budget, sustainability through our parks department. And we were really actually gratified that the one department that I think really sort of kind of responded when we sort of put out this question of, hey, can we find better sort of uses, more sustainable practices for our landscapes? It was really facilities, and I think libraries that sort of said, this sounds good, let's talk about it. And so I think, over the last year, there's been some pilot sites, Clarkston, and certainly District 5 libraries are, have some beautiful new landscapes there. And, I think one of the goals originally with the program was just to have a better, portfolio of landscapes that kind of added a little bit more value to the sites, less mowing and blowing, more growing food or growing pollinator habitats, or having little, in essence, what we kind of sort of refer to as outdoor classrooms in a way, sort of like the gazebos that you have. And at Clarkson Library, we got some benches and little areas for people to gather. But then within that, how can we, add value to what I think everyone acknowledges is one of the best library systems in the South, if not the country. We are always talked about, when we're at NACO. And so we recognize that the library program and department does an amazing job of, running the libraries on the inside. And so the question kind of came up of, how can we support the libraries, not just sort of in sustainable practices, but really activating the sites. And every library is different. Some libraries have tremendous areas of land to take care of. Some of them, like the Toco Hills one, is a little tiny little little parcel, and so everyone kind of is different. And I think in true form, as we're sort of the kings and queens of plan making here at the Board of Commissioners. We've got an equity plan, a countywide equity plan. We've got a sustainability and clean energy plan that we'll be doing, that all have kind of done the RFP and bid process, and certainly our long range planning. And so this is kind of a similar vein, just painting within the numbers of, I think, what sort of how we do business. We know that we spend a lot of money on landscapes, and we know that our libraries are very important to the constituents who need them. So,
Okay, so
yeah. In closing, last comment. The closing thought here is that we would, in essence, put together an RFP with facilities, library, to sort of craft that we want to make the libraries, placemaking opportunities, sustainable landscapes, and then to just put out that bid, see what planning firm says, yep, I can help with that. Go through that process, and then really by the end of 2023, we've sort of done a complete review of all the libraries, done community engagement, engaged with each librarian at each site with the community that serves, and asked them what they want to see, and really make it a co-creative model. And then from that, there'll probably be some suggestions, I imagine, that would come after the plan.
Okay, and so I think that the resolution, I'd like to see an RFP on it after listening to see, because I think it's important. I think that was a good recommendation, because I think that it helps the learning process too. When you have different plants out, you have students come out, you have discussions made. I'd like to see the pavilions at many of the libraries, but that's something that I have not spoken with the administration about, but I did utilize my discretionary funds to put them out at my libraries, and the citizens pretty much really appreciate it, and they use it for several different things. I've heard that they've been used for marriage ceremonies as well. So I think it's a community asset they enjoyed. But I want to hear from you, Allison, about what Commissioner Terry is proposing.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison from the library. We've been pleased with what's happened at the District 5 libraries and the transformation to the productive urban landscapes, and also at the Clarkson Library. Many of our branches had kind of sad landscaping, so it's been nice that they've been kind of updated and updated in this newer sustainable way. So we were happy to be a pilot for that, and the branches have responded well. The community has responded well. So we're willing to expand this to other libraries. That's also something that we try to make sure that if one library has it, we'll often test something new at a few libraries, and if it works out well, then it's something that we do want to expand to all branches where it makes sense. So we do like to make sure that people have similar experiences at different branches all over the county. So really, what we're looking for is we definitely like the pollinator habitat part. We like anything that's drought tolerant, things that give our buildings some more visual appeal. So all of what's happened so far has done that, and and where it makes sense and where we've got the space outside, our librarians have been able to do some programming incorporating the concepts and just incorporating the spaces, in particular in the District 5 libraries with the gazebos. It's been easy to do that. We can bring tables out there, we've got benches, and it's easy to do some nice programming out there. And it can be traditional storytime programs, or it can be programs. Salem Canola, I think, is going to be doing some cooking programs kind of based on some of the edibles that are going to be growing there. So we're on board. We just, want to make sure that as it goes forward, that we would just make sure that we're consulted kind of in an ongoing basis to make sure that it kind of fits with what we're doing. We do have a few branches that have kind of particular situations where we already have arrangements with organizations that do a lot of kind of extra work on our landscaping. So for example, Dunwoody, the North Lake Library, Embry Hills, all have groups that that take care of landscapes there and add plants to it. And so we would want to make sure, that we work closely with those folks, because we don't want to, step on anybody's toes in those places where we've got community groups already kind of doing similar things in those spaces.
And so, thank you, Allison. And so I'd like to ask the question of the COO. Where would the funding come from?
Yeah, so the initial funding looks like up to $250,000. It's going to help really design the plan and create the strategies and stuff. It's all enumerated in the resolution. But this is something we could add, whether we did it in the mid-year budget or at some later date. I don't know if it's ARP eligible, but I wouldn't overly, Commissioner, if this is a policy decision, the money is there. The money's there. This is not something that is prohibitively expensive. And if we do it right, we may be able to put some, drought tolerant plantings in there, some native landscaping and stuff that over time that may pay for itself. So, this would simply be general fund dollars.
Oh, okay. And so my question is this, we would need an RFP for this.
Yes.
And so I would think rather than a resolution, we would need to do an RFP for this, and we would need to detail exactly what it is that we want. And so who would do that? Who would put that RFP together?
It would be between facilities and libraries, maybe some help from purchasing. I don't know that we would need help assistance beyond that necessarily. I think we have the internal folks who would be competent in defining what is most relevant for an RFP. And the good thing is we now have experience in having put in some of these types of gardens at certain libraries. So I would see it would. I'm not sure if the lead would be libraries or facilities. I'd want to give that some more thought, but it would be one of those departments.
Oh, okay. And then with the maintenance on it, because I would assume that maintenance would not have to be within that RFP, because I would assume that we would, and if it was, it would only be for a specific time, because I would think that we should have the capability to maintain it through facilities once, it has been constructed. And we would take it from there. So I would look at no more than a year if we need it, and I don't know.
So, personally as a gardener, once you get it installed and after a year it's going to grow or it's not. So and the maintenance part, we would certainly have staff, internal or contracted, who could be qualified. But I think we would want some period of time after installation and planting, to have a little more help assistance. Right. Because this is going to be non-traditional vegetation. But
right, and I have facility on, and then I'm going to come back to you, Ted. Wanted facility, Kevin. Is Kevin on?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, Commissioner. How are you today?
I'm fine.
I was trying to get back to my office so that I could go on camera. Unfortunately, I'm still in my vehicle, so
Yeah, you good.
I apologize for that. But I heard everything that was said. You made some really good points. I do want to say that what you did with the gazebos was groundbreaking. You had the wherewithal to do that before the pandemic, and it helped tremendously. So I just want to commend you for that. In reference to the maintenance, we have it covered. We've been covering it through our general maintenance budget through this time. The good news and what Zach said was right on point. We will probably still need some guidance and or some help from a company, be it Roots Down or whoever, that's very familiar with these plantings, because while they're a little bit different than what we normally maintain, the good news is we have great partner contractors that are doing a fantastic job right now, and I don't see it being burdensome. It's almost going to be a give and take as we add on these native plantings and things of that nature. It will start to remove some of the large green spaces. So whereas we're paying to maintain those large green spaces already, as those disappear, the costs associated with that will also disappear. And it'll just be a different form of maintenance. There's pruning and things of that nature that have to happen with some of these plantings that aren't happening with grass. But again, it's almost a give and take. And I think that when it's all said and done, it could possibly even work out that the costs associated with the maintenance may go down some, and I'll explain that statement. You mentioned the fact that you've heard about some weddings and things of that nature at the existing libraries that have the gazebos. I've identified that as well. I've seen people there that were taking graduation pictures and wedding pictures and things of that nature, just enjoying the outside. Then I've also seen a lot of constituents actually helping to maintain those areas. I think they find it therapeutic to be outside and actually work in the native planting areas. The fact that a lot of the plantings are going to consist of fruit-bearing trees and vegetation plants that would actually produce a form of vegetables and things of that nature. When that happens, I believe that the constituents will continue to show up and help us. So therefore, that's going to actually help with some of the maintenance because they provide some of it too. So I know I went a little long and I apologize, but I just wanted to summarize and say that I really believe that we will be able to work this out. As COO Williams said, I don't think that it's going to be overbearing in reference to the maintenance. And then the other part will have to be at the discretion of the council, of the commission. So thank you.
I would like to see, Commissioner Terry, before I come to you, I'm going to call on Commissioner Bradshaw because he haven't spoken, but I'd like to see some pavilions that some of them, I don't know, I hadn't spoken with you about that, Allison, but I do know that the people in the Fifth, they love it. And it gives you a chance to be outside, appreciate the outdoors and nature and sit out there. And of course, I'll talk to the administration about that, but I'd like to see that as well. But Commissioner Bradshaw.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. A couple quick things. I won't be long. First of all, I'm supportive of this conceptually. I was supportive of it when it came before us before. That hasn't changed. And it sounds like in the areas it's been implemented, it's positive. So that's all good. I requested the last time we heard this to hear specifically from the library director and from somebody from facilities to get their take on all of this. Those blocks have been checked. If my hearing isn't failing me, I think what I'm hearing is they're both on board with it. It's not going to cause any kind of disruption, and it can be integrated into what's already going on. So I'm good to go there. Did have a question regarding the proposed budget. I think the number that was thrown out was 250. If this is going for an RFP, which it should, based on my experience in sales and contracting, if a number is already out there, all those bids are going to come back at that number. So,
Well, I think
let me just finish what I'm saying. And I think a competitive bid process, we might be able to get something better than that. I don't know. That process has got to play out. But in the response, the written response that Commissioner Terry had provided for us a while back, which was good, I appreciate. There's in the paragraph on how the budget was calculated, the last sentence in there reads, the prices at which the existing library pilots were installed, maintained, and programmed in 2021 are not an effective comparison, since these services were offered at a considerable discount from industry norms. And my only question is why that was.
Well, let me say this, and that's the reason I said I'd rather for it to be an RFP than the resolution, because we don't know what the comparative prices were, because it was never an RFP. It was a contract that we negotiated and we entered into. So I would not want to go forth with the resolution. I would like to go forth with the idea through an RFP so that they can put it, they can put the RFP together. I don't know what it would cost, but I do, and I don't feel that we should pay. I mean, I don't feel that we should put a figure out there. Once we say what we want, they would give us the figures and then we can decide, or however the RFP would be put together. Could you give us a little bit more background on that? The COO, because we did not do a competitive contract for this.
Right. So, and I believe you're correct for the what we have done in the past with District 5, and others. Here's, I think we've dealt with these types of things in the past, and this is just would be something that I would offer, is ops would say in the mid-year budget, add $250,000 for when we figure out the wording, but gardens and libraries, or something, a transition plan and implementation of a community garden concept in our library, something like that. It's a line item. And then we would develop the most appropriate procurement methodology to get someone to come in and help us design that transition and install if possible. So I think what the board has done in the past with issues like this is simply identify that this is the priority that they want to accomplish, allocate funds towards it, and then we take it through the process of the appropriate procurement mechanism. We bring it back and say, here's what we're proposing to fulfill the legislative priority.
Okay. Ted, are you fine with that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think that's exactly right, because I think the the resolution, I think, is in essence just saying we want to do this procurement, go forth and do the procurement process, find the firm, the planning firm. It's more of a planning exercise. And I would say it's not really, I would say installs are not really contemplated. It's more asking the question of what would it cost? What actually does the community want in each library to happen? And that, in essence, a landscape transition plan for each library is contemplated. And then to Mr. Buford's point, in essence, we already have landscaping contractors there might be a new RFP put out for the landscapes at those libraries to implement the plan, which I think that's next step. But I think right now it is, let's do the planning process. It's a lot of community engagement. I would say that's probably most of really the work. And then, we have, ultimately have to vote on that contract. They would do the work for probably 12 months, might take, at least a year. Resulting, would be in essence a plan, with budgets and sort of aspirational goals.
Okay, so is there, okay, so see, based upon what Zach has just stated about the line item, the $250,000 line item, and for the purposes of transitioning or integrate, well, you heard him.
Yeah.
Is that good for your motion?
Yeah, I'm fine with all of that conceptually. I'm fine with it. I'm prepared to take action whenever you call for it.
Okay. Are there any other comments or concerns? Welcome, Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do agree with that if we're moving forward, and I don't think any of us are in disagreement with moving forward, that it's done through an RFP for any secondary services that may be needed by the county in order to perform enhanced duties that are associated with the installations. But no, I have no questions. I do support the item. I think they're wonderful enhancements. And I do want to see it fall under the umbrella of the county as opposed to individual commissioners having to have the responsibility for the installation. I think that, that's the appropriate thing. So those are my only comments, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. So, Mr. COO, will I get my money back?
Oh
Okay.
boy, if we're going down
Okay,
that path, I got a few things I'm gonna ask about.
Hey, commissioners, it's hard enough for me to get the money out. Let's one thing at a time, right?
Okay, so Commissioner Bradshaw, you have a motion.
I think Allison has her hand up before I make it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Allison.
Hey, so I guess I just want to make sure that I understand. So quite amount of, I'm assuming that a lot of legwork is going to have to go into sort of creating the scope of work for this RFP. And whoever's going to do that work, I guess, I'm willing to help. I'm just not, this is not my area of expertise. So I just want to make sure that what the expectations are from my department, because again, this is a little bit outside of my area of expertise. If the expectation is that I'm going to participate in the actual writing of the scope of work, or I guess I just want to be clear on that, or I need to become an expert quickly.
Okay, Mr. COO.
If the board allocates, moves forward with this allocation, I will coordinate the principals that will need to come to the table to design the RFP. So yeah, you will be sufficiently, or this project will be sufficiently resourced, and it will not rely on you to become a master gardener.
Okay, so if there's no other questions and our concerns, Commissioner Bradshaw, we ready for the motion?
My motion is to approve item 1543.
Well, item 1543 is the resolution.
That's correct.
Okay, so what we had spoken about an RFP, not the resolution, putting it in as a line item.
Okay.
200, okay,
So what would I be making a motion to approve then?
Can I try,
okay.
Madam Chair?
Uh-huh.
If I may, I think it would be a substitute item to allocate $250,000 in the mid-year budget for a transition plan for fruitful libraries, if we want to use the word fruit. I mean, we might find a better word, but for community gardens in libraries or something along those lines.
Okay. So we'll do a substitute. And you all have the substitute for Tuesday?
You can, or if you just,
Oh, well, not,
if you take that vote, we will add it into the mid-year budget and bring it back upon, as part of the mid-year budget.
okay.
So
So
what,
can you give us the language for the, motion?
A motion to allocate $250,000 in the mid-year budget for a fruitful libraries transition plan.
so moved.
Okay, I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that passed with the substitute. Okay, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Terry. Okay, so the next item is 1662. And thank you, Allison and Kevin. I know that you all are probably already gone, but thank you. The next item is 1662. That's a low bid invitation for on-call plumbing services annual contract with 2 options to renew for use by the Department of Facility Management, Recreation, Parks, Cultural Affairs. Consists of repair, replacement, maintenance, and installation of plumbing fixtures at residential, commercial, industrial property in county parks located within unincorporated DeKalb County. With recommended to award to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, 12 Connect Inc., formerly known as J Squared Plumbing and B&W Mechanical Contractors, Inc., total amount not to exceed $700,000. So
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. It's Kevin Buford, DeKalb County Facilities. I know that I'm not the only department on here, but I believe we are the lead. What you have in front of you is we're asking that you approve the bid for 2 plumbing contractors. I'm sure that the board is aware that we have had an increased amount of activity in reference to plumbing. I would equate it as to what's going on with us is what's happening with watershed management and the underground water pipes that are transition mains throughout the county. Our water lines that go to the buildings that we service and maintain are in some instances just as old, and I believe some older than the actual transition mains that are in, because there have been some revitalization in the past on some of the transition mains, but we haven't done very much in reference to the lines that go to the buildings. So we've seen an increase, and with that, we needed a little more support. We have 4 licensed plumbers that work for DeKalb County Facilities, and we had 1 contractor working with purchasing and procurement. We bid this out, and now we have 2 very good contractors that we're asking that you would approve. We're going with $700,000, which is a nominal amount for each contract, and I believe that if that's approved, that's going to help us to be able to maintain these buildings and change out some of the water lines that are necessary to help go. I believe Parks and Recs is on there because we've seen an uptick in the failures associated with pipes that are going to a lot of the pool houses because they were antiquated. So a lot of these pool houses and pool sites have been useful in DeKalb County for quite some time. They've gone beyond their life expectancy, so we want to revitalize those. And in 2023, I believe you're going to see facilities management through the COO's office coming to you with a water line revitalization program, and we'll ask that you will support that at that time. But today, the ask is that you would approve this contract, awarding this to these 2 very good contractors. It's a B&W Mechanical and J2 Connect, also known as J Squared Plumbing. And thank you.
okay. Are there any questions, comments?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any questions, comments? Okay, so is there a motion?
Motion to approve. 1662.
Second. Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Okay, 1675 is the renewal, antifreeze annual contract, first of 2 options to renew contracts for use by Public Work Fleet Management. These contracts consist of purchasing antifreeze for county vehicles and equipment awarded to McPherson Company, Inc. and Napa Auto Parts. Total amount not to exceed $90,000.
Yes, ma'am. This is Robert. It's just for buying antifreeze. There's two vendors on here. We buy a multitude of different types of antifreeze for different equipment to meet the warranty specifications on all the vehicles. And it's just a renewal for us to keep vehicles from freezing up.
Okay, so this is the first of the two options.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Any questions, comments?
No question on the item. I'm ready to make a motion. Just
Okay.
wanted to say to Director Gordon, thanks for hosting the meeting the other day. You did a great job. Wanted to just say that publicly.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
When you're ready, Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, you can make your motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
1675.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item is approved. 1677 is a change order for pest control services. This is an annual contract with two options to renew for use by the Department of Facility Management. The contract consists of providing pest control services at county-owned facilities awarded to All Pro Pest Services, Inc., amount not to exceed $8,726.32.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. What our request is related to, I'm sure that each and every one of you are aware that with the unseasonably warm weather and we kind of hit summer a little quicker than we normally do, we've seen an increase in pest activity. This is basically to increase the contract and to back up. This is a new contract. It's a new vendor with DeKalb County. They've been doing a fantastic job, but what we discovered is the old contractor had placed various traps and things of that nature around buildings, which was helping to eliminate the ability of pests and rodents getting into our buildings. Well, when they finished the contract, they took their traps and things of that nature with them because they were actually their equipment. So now to place these various traps at the locations that are needed, there's a charge associated with that. So this is just to, I know it's not a little bit of money, it's a little less than $10,000, but it's going to give us the ability to place traps and such around county buildings to help eliminate the pest activity that we've seen an uptick in, as well as we've actually asked them to do a little increased spraying and treating just to make sure that we don't have unwanted or uninvited visitors in any of our county buildings. So that's what this request is for, and I would ask that you would approve it.
And so that means that we would own these traps.
This time, yes, we will own these traps. We are purchasing them. We learned from past experience, and yes, we will definitely own these traps. So in the future, even if we change to a different contractor under contract, we will still have these traps available, even though they only last so long, but these will be ours versus owned by a company. And that's a great question, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. And so are there any other questions, concerns? Okay, so do we have a motion?
Motion to approve 1677.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Okay, the next item is 1681. It's renewal purchase of automobiles, vans, trucks, and accessories, annual contract. First or second option to renew, used by Public Works Fleet. These contracts consist of purchasing replacement vehicles to enable county personnel to complete daily tasks that requires the use of automobiles, awarded to Wade Ford, Inc., Hardy Chevrolet, Brewitt, GMC, Hardy Family Ford, and ZT Autos, CDJR Union City LLC. Total not to exceed $9,431,000. No, $9,431,257.59. And This item was sent to audit and it was sent back to us. It was supported by audit. So you want to give us some discussion on it, Director Gordon?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Audit did review it and supported it. And this is just our normal contract we have with those vendors to buy automotive vehicles that you guys have already approved the list of the vehicles, the vehicle replacement list over the last couple of years. The contract unfortunately comes up due in between the time you guys are approve our budget. So we have to have money from last year and this year on it to be able to purchase those vehicles. We also have a 1.2 million for early replacements. And what that means, early replacements is vehicles that get totaled out before their life cycle's up. So there is some money on there for that as well. It's the same thing we do every year on the same contract.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions, concerns, comments?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve 1681.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. The last item is item 1690. That is a change order, maintenance, repair, inspection of overhead doors and gates annual with 4 options to renew for use by the Department of Facility Management, Fire Rescue Services, Watershed Management. Consists of providing maintenance, repairs, inspections of county overhead doors and gates. Awarded to DH Pace Company, Inc., doing business as Overhead Door Company of Atlanta, not to exceed $400,000.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. What you have in front of you today is a change order for overhead doors and maintenance of overhead doors. The majority of the $400,000 that we're asking you to increase the contract for is associated with fire and rescue doors. As you're aware of, we're actually building some new fire stations, and the existing fire stations, they're doing a lot of revitalization and remodeling. As a part of that, they're going to be changing out doors with fire stations. And because I used to work with fire and rescue with DeKalb County, I can speak on it with a lot of knowledge. As the fire trucks come and enter the station, those doors open and close more than any other county building. And with that, there's a lot of wear and tear. When I was with the fire department working with Chief Fulham and Deputy Chief Smith, we actually investigated a lot of door options. And what they're going with is a special door that's going to be, that's going to have less maintenance, but will open a little faster, which helps with the response time. So a lot of that $400,000 is that, as well as working with Watershed. We're doing some changing out of doors in other buildings around the county, parks and recs and things of that nature. So again, we would ask that you would approve this change order in the amount of $400,000, which will help us to benefit a lot of fire stations and other buildings throughout the county, and also continue to work with the company. This company, Overhead Door of Atlanta, also known as DH Pace Company, has provided excellent service to us, and we really like partnering with them. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, so so this is adding to the contract of 700,000.
Yes, Commissioner, this is added to the contract. Yes.
Of 700,000. And then that contract would expire December 2022.
That's correct.
Okay, so we need an additional, and it may have gone over my head, but we need an additional $400. And just summarize why we needed an additional $400,000 on that contract.
Again, through the chair, Commissioner, what's happening is we have, we're building brand new fire stations, and we're changing out the doors at a lot of existing fire stations. So the $700,000 that we originally had is being used to maintain, replace, repair the normal doors throughout DeKalb County. We have a lot of doors, overhead doors, doors of this nature that we work with this company. And it also encompasses some fences. So at the courts and things of that nature, it's a pretty large contract. And then, of course, we have a lot of buildings. But the basis of the $400,000 primarily is to go towards the change out of the doors at the fire stations. We have 26 fire stations, and then with the new fire station 7 coming online, that's basically 27, because we still have the old fire station 7 to maintain until new station 7 comes on in line in 2023. But these doors are going to replace at all of the other existing stations where we're doing the revitalization, as well as provide doors for new fire station number 7. So that's why we need to increase this by $400,000. And it isn't usual. As you can see, we don't do this often. I don't believe we're going to be doing this again in the very near future, because once we change these doors out, it's actually going to help us, because the maintenance associated with these doors, the new doors at the fire station, is going to be less than what we're currently experiencing. And it helps the failures. It also helps with the response time, because these doors are a lot faster than the older doors. So thank you. I know it's a lot, and I appreciate y'all.
I should have got it the first time around, but it was something that I just missed. Okay, so Commissioner Bradshaw, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, I'm good.
Okay, Commissioner Cochran Johnson.
Thank you.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay. I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the item is approved, and that is that will conclude our agenda for today. And so I appreciate everyone for your time and coming to this special call. Thank you.
Get back in some air conditioning, Marita.
I'm getting ready to. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.